December 29th, I was on my way to Florida because a whole bunch of puppies were about to be wolf dog puppies, about to be born in the wild. Storms the hurricane or a storm was I forget, what it was, tropical storm, whatever. So we're like, okay, well, let's go get that mother. She's on the loose, by the way, so she's not just in some cage or anything. So we're like, all right, well, I'll come down. It was this big thing. Supposedly she was a rescue, and she just lost control of the situation. She was a breeder, and she had totally lost control of the situation because she couldn't keep any of the wolf dogs in cages, so they were all over her property. What I thought was 11 ended up being like 40, 50, and so we went back, the whole team. Like, I was just like, everybody, and then what happens? Like, it catches on fire, not our property, but the whole surrounding area.
Welcome to the Colorado Srings Business Podcast, where we discuss business principles and provide real-life insight into the lives of everyday business owners and entrepreneurs. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe or leave a review wherever you might be listening. Now, let's talk business.
All right, welcome back to the COS Business Podcast. We have Drew Robertson today on the show from Mattersville.
Howdy.
He's a good buddy of mine. We've been friends for quite some time now. I think over 4 years now. Golly, that's crazy, man.
It is crazy. That's, a lot has happened since then. A lot has happened.
For a lot of our viewers who don't know you, and I know you've been on the show before, but like, just kind of give everybody like a background of who you are and a little bit more about Mattersville.
Well, I'm just a normal individual like anybody else. Grew up in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Normal group of friends, everything. But I had a particular friend that, again, he was a very close part of our inner circle, and became one of lifelong best friend, really one of them, and we saw him off to the Marine Corps, and back in 2013, years after his discharge, he had been struggling with PTSD, and and just it led to other things, that just took his mental health in a bad direction, and we ended up losing him to PTSD suicide in 2013. So. Kind of like your old saying, turn your message into a message. And, I spent my time for a couple years depressed and depression, and decided to, turn it around for myself by, putting my thoughts and my efforts into writing up some programs that might help veterans like Randy overcome those things by having, things to do, repurposing the mind, repurposing your time, creating new settings, and then putting people in a community that's got that same drive and compassion for others that are trying to do the same for themselves. So, and it just kind of, went from an idea to a plan, and a plan to an action, and we're where we are now, three fully functional locations in 3 different states. I actually just got word 2 days ago, and I didn't even tell you about this yet, but we're about to close on a final deal where we will own our Colorado property outright, as well as the owner of the property who's donating it to us would like us to take the money that we were going to use to buy the property and to purchase another property in North Carolina, where we will open our 4th location. And he wants to be, he believes in it so much, not only to help us acquire the land here, that he wants to come in to be a part of the mission and be a director and an off-grid, coach and everything to veterans as well. So it's pretty cool that we've come that far. And he saw, even as a donor of property, and long-term lease is what we originally had, and saying, this needs to, he sees what's been done and wanted to make it right. And the place was a mess. I mean, we did more work than the property was worth, and to see him see that value meant a lot. I feel like that was kind of just a few days ago was a mental turning point for me, because for somebody to look past their own greed and their own, look past greed and their own self-interest, and see that, what everybody put into it is needs to remain in that care, and the group is phenomenal, which is, was what we were raising money for, to get that property and to keep it and to make sure that it never, got taken away. Because, with the whole agreement, it was what it was worth at the time when we started and fixing it up and everything else. And again, when we finally got there to have the money, it was nice to know that now we can put it into growth.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more. Let's peel it back a little bit more and talk about Mattersville and what it is. So you have, again, there's a possibility again for a fourth location, which is super exciting. But for the viewers who don't know, tell us more about like the locations and. Sure. Gosh, I mean, there's so much to even talk about with that, right? Like
positive coping skills can be anything, right?
Right.
Like, well, everybody's favorite is the wolves, right? We rescue and rehab wolves and wolf dogs with the veterans. The veterans actually go on these big missions with me. I mean, we'll go across the country. We've been to Alaska, pulling hybrids out of Alaska to help fish and game out, and just everywhere. And so now these wolves and wolf dogs are often abused, neglected. Sometimes they just come from a home that's not allowed to have them, and those are usually the good rescues, the ones that we're like, okay, we're not picking up a mess or a monster or something that's like going to need this tremendous amount of rehab. We'll run across the but we do come across some pretty sad cases as well. 6 days ago, we went to a fire that the owner was unfortunately lost the fire. His name was Wolfman Greg, and we were lucky to have rounded up all of his wolf dogs that had escaped from through holes in the fire damage, because the fire almost burned up the dogs as well. We managed to round them up and get all that handled, and we're still working on it, getting the animals from the Humane Society and things like that. But all the veterans that were here at our Colorado property were all dispatched to go help with the fire rescue, and we didn't know, but we were rolling up on a scene that just happened. Like the fire department was like dousing the final flames when we pulled up, and we were thinking we were showing up like days after a scene, go round up the dogs if we can find them type of. It was like, no, it was new, and it was a pretty traumatic scene for anybody that would have known him, even for people that didn't. It was so for the dogs, what they just went through was tremendous, and our veterans who struggle with trauma and suffer, PTSD, they get really compassionate for those animals because they can immediately relate to an animal that just went through something as traumatic and tremendous as loss and loss of their home and needing to be relocated. And so the veterans are the most equipped to pour that empathy out onto the animals and put it into a pure kind of love that allows those animals to feel safe and trusted and allow the people into these new people into their lives that are not their deceased owner. So it's really cool. I mean, the veterans. You wouldn't know that they'd been through what they went through when they're on the scene because they're very collected. They, they know how to compose themselves in those scenes and kind of keep the emotion out of it. And they're trained to handle a lot of that stuff. So it was cool to see that the way that they can hop in and out of that element, and it shows what kind of resilience and strength they build up as they combat their own PTSD, because if these aftermath scenes and stuff can roll off their back, it really helps you kind of see like, man, they must have already overcome some serious demons to be able to to get back to their normal days after a scene like that, because I couldn't. I certainly couldn't as a civilian, somebody that hasn't gone through the same types of trauma. It's impressive, so it's I remember being out the other day and having a in the sad scene, having some sense of pride of watching them, and Jen, one of our veteran participants, getting down low, doing what she's trained, knowing not to intimidate the dogs. This dog's freaked out, trapped basically, and she's trying to get a leash on this wolf dog, that has no idea who she is and why we're all after it. And she did everything she needed to do, and again, she followed instructions so well that dog just, practically walked out willingly on a leash with her after this whole situation. And again, like, I don't know other people that can, get on that mental level so quickly, except for like our trained armed forces. So it's pretty neat.
Now a word from our sponsors. Before we get on with the show, we'd like to thank our sponsors.
Planet Duct.
Planet Duct?
Planet Duct.
Planet Duct's our sponsor?
Yeah, who's Planet Duct?
Planet Duct, well, they're an air duct cleaning company here in Colorado Springs. They have the most powerful air duct cleaning in the universe.
Definitely. And they're also our oldest sponsor. We love you. Brandon Kirk.
Brandon Kirk with Planet Duct, oldest sponsor. He's been sponsoring since day one. and without Brandon, this show probably would not be here.
You know what I love?
What do you love?
I love the People's Tiny House Festival. What's the People's Tiny House Festival, Andrew?
People's Tiny House Festival is an event where people come together around tiny houses.
Really? Just around them? Yes.
They walk there, you know, they walk around, they look at the tiny houses, they have fun, they check out all the other vendors, there's nice food, there's activities, and it's at the Ranch Events Complex in Loveland, Colorado.
Hey, that's pretty good. July 8th and 9th at the Ranch Events Complex, like he said, in Loveland, Colorado. Come visit it. Full display of tiny living. There's going to be vans there as well, bus conversions as well. Get your tickets online at peoplestinyhousefestival.com/tickets.
/tickets.
Dude, I am so hungry right now. You know what I can go for right now?
A taco, probably.
Well, yeah, I'm Latino, so thanks for saying that. But also, El Super Taco. Yeah, tell us a little bit about El Super Taco.
Well, they are a really cool place. Cut. Or keep it in, I don't know. I love El Super Taco. It's a great Colorado Springs founded company. They have like 6 locations, 2 of them in different states, 1 of them in a different country. It's awesome. They do a really great job on producing some amazing food, fresh produce, and yeah.
What's your favorite thing there?
My favorite thing there? I don't have a favorite thing because I am different every time. I try to change it up. I'll even tell the person that's working, just give me what you like. I'll have what you're having.
All right, El Super Taco. Check them out, guys. All right, man. Well, one thing that I'm not is a handyman, okay? But one thing that I do know is if you are a handyman, you have tools, we have this great sponsor named Power Tool Safe. Tell us a little bit about them. Power
Tool Safe is a tool that allows you to keep track of your tools, but it also is building a community around around awareness around theft to help the community come together to help prevent this theft that is a major problem in the world right now.
Yes,
there's a lot of major problems in the world, but this is one of them, and this thing helps solve that one major problem.
Awesome, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Recon Marketing. You see this hat right here? I think you have a couple hats right there. It's my business I co-own with my business partner, Brett Curley. It's a full digital marketing agency here in Colorado. We serve everywhere in Colorado along with like the surrounding states as of right now, but we offer social media management, SEO, paid search, paid social, and we also have got into the web design lane as well. And then with our social media management, we get to work with amazing videographers and photographers like Mr. Andrew right here.
Yes, and that is a good segue into the next sponsor, which would be Vima Visuals. And Vima Visuals is a company that produces videos for visuals, actually. I think, you know how like construction companies, they'll be like siding, roofing plus siding. Yeah. I think I may add an extension to my name. I don't know yet, but it may be Vima Visuals plus graphics or something like that, you know, like I think I might add that in there because we are doing more graphic stuff, like graphic design, and it's visuals. It's still all visuals. So yeah, we produce visuals for companies and mainly marketing materials, but we do events, videos for events. Any kind of vision that you have that you want on video, just reach out and we'll see if it's the right fit or not.
Absolutely. He is the best, especially if you have a vision, you want it to come to life, want to storyboard it, anything like that, talk to Andrew. He's the best. So reach out to Vehement Visuals.
Yes. Storyboarding. I'm glad you said that. But yeah, that's we plan it out, and we'll get back to the show now with who we have on today.
We had Drew Robertson.
Drew Robertson, yes, going to talk about more of them wolf dogs and veterinarians.
Yep.
No,
probably those two actually. Some of the wolf dogs.
All right, well, let's get back to the show, man.
All right. I think we just do that the close. And then did you want to do an outro or is that the outro?
Let's do the outro.
Okay. So how do you want to do it?
Do you want to do an intro?
We could.
We can start doing intros for the guest.
Like Lex type of style, you're saying?
Yeah.
The following is.
Nah, we'll just do it the hook. Let's stick with the hook. Let's stick with our format right now. We don't need to extra add things, more convoluted things. But let's this outro right here. Edgar is going to be an outro that we're going to reuse.
Okay, so this is like the outro.
Like 10, 20 episodes or whatever, you know.
So we could just say like thanks for watching the episode. Go ahead, like if you want more information or you want to keep, getting more of these episodes, follow us on.
Mm-hmm. We need to have an insert too, where we like in the middle of the episode where like while we're recording, I should be pausing this right now because this isn't for the video, but while we're recording the episode, we need to remember to stop, look at the camera, and tell people to like and subscribe. That is just an awesome thing. I think it's really great. And, you know, you do it while you're recording, you know. And it's usually you can do it in a fun and creative way, like maybe something the guest says, and you can segue onto it. Or about we just have to remember at least once during an episode to look at the camera and do that. That's going to be huge. I think that's important. As a YouTuber, as someone who wants to grow a YouTube channel, that's important. But yeah, let's outro this show.
I'll throw it to you again. It's so crazy, man. And I don't know if we've talked a lot about it at the festival, but like our relationship runs really deep. Mm-hmm. We've only known each other for 4 years, but it's kind of interesting. We met through one of the executive directors of the festival, Stacy. Mm-hmm. She's like, "Hey, you gotta meet this guy.
Stacy's awesome, by the way.
He's a man on a mission." Back then, you didn't even have a property or anything, and like we connected at a home expo show, and like you were telling me your story about your best friend passing, also a Marine, PTSD, suicide, same story for me. And then like it became like a big part of like the Tiny House Festival, the People's Tiny House Festival. And it's been so great like to see the presentations on stage. We do a Paul Wedgewood Award based off of my best friend who passed, and it's honoring a veteran in the community that represents courage and strength and character. And it's just been like such a beautiful like kind of like co-hosting that award with you. I don't think many people realize like how much you've been through to make this vision come to life. I mean, just from the first property alone, talk about like when you first found the property, like all the efforts that took just to put it into place. It was insane.
Yeah. It was trashed. I mean, so the original owner had trusted the property to some people. I call them the squatters, since they, you know, I guess by law that wouldn't be the necessary definition because one of them was originally let onto the property to maintain it and didn't do such a job. But they put all these squatter hovels everywhere, they call them cabins, and you know, different places. The county was all over it. You know, the second they heard that we were there on the property, this is really funny because I mean they couldn't have been showing up for the last 5 years. The moment we showed up on the property and we're telling people we've removed 50,000 pounds of construction waste from this property so far, all of a sudden the zoning department's coming. They're asking us for money and asking us for permits on everything that had been done there. And I'm like, we're just leasing, you know, like what are you talking? I mean, they were down my throat so fast. I actually kicked the zoning department director off the property one time because I was like, you're just harassing me. You know, at this point I'm cleaning trash and you're harassing me. I was like, you didn't have a problem with the people that trashed this place, and now I'm getting it done and you're gonna, you know, jump down our throats. And I was like, you're messing with veteran housing, you're messing with our operations, we're a nonprofit. I was like, dude, if it comes down to it, I have no problem, you know, selling you up the river when it comes to optics. I will show the county that the county is what's preventing the county from staying clean. And, you know, so if you want to, you know, and not only that, I mean, we're going to get homeless off the streets? You don't like that either. You know, it was really weird that they were kind of coming at us like that. But since then, you know, since we started, it's now 285,000 pounds of waste that we've hauled off to the dump. And we had to do it ourselves. There's no trash service in the middle of the mountains, you know, of you know, Douglas County. There's, you know, it's just too far for those kinds of services. So we're literally doing this on an ATV trailer, you know, loading up everything that we can, throwing a tarp on it, and just kind of.
What is the waste?
It's rotten plywood, rotten wood, bleachers from a middle school, so a whole bunch of stuff that was won in a salvage auction, right? Like just like he would win all these ridiculous salvage auctions. One piece of waste that's still there, which we fixed, is a giant 30,000 pound C-Dot plow and dump truck, like a full one.
Nice.
We got
you guys fixed it up?
Yeah, we got it running. I wouldn't say we fixed it up. I mean,
it works.
It starts, it stops. I mean, the horn works, which is cool. Like, but best of all, the brakes work. So we'll be able to get it down the hill eventually. Everybody's too terrified to actually be the ones to take it down the hill because, you know, if that thing, our hill is, you know, very, very steep. It's about a quarter mile. So if the brakes don't work, you're not going to stop unless you run it into the mountain or the cliff, which is what I would do, honestly. If that happened, I would probably stop myself from, but Yeah, I mean, the efforts, obviously I'm not the only one that did it. I mean, it took hundreds of volunteers, literally over the years. We started off with this huge pop, from the news and, some other stuff when they heard we were taking on the wolves and wolf dogs from Rocky Mountain Wildlife Foundation, and a lot of them we maintained. I mean, they've been here for years now, and, have put their heart and soul into the place, and those are our lifers. Those are, the people that we call our pack, and that's where Pack 22 came from, was, the team of people that are within Mattersville that both care for the animals but are dedicated, like truly dedicated, to ending the 22 veteran suicides a day. Paul, your best friend Paul Wedgewood, and Randy Hansen, and we have them. And everybody else, I guarantee Andrew, probably knows somebody that's been lost to PTSD, suicide. All of us, like, literally have are touched by this in some way, some family member or friend, or, best friend's brother. We all are reached by this. And if you aren't yet, I hope that you never have to. I hope you never have to suffer the loss that Marcus suffered when Paul Wedgewood was lost. It's that trauma, it immediately just transfers. The second people hear that somebody so close to them is lost, that trauma just, transfers right over. Is it the same? No, but it's trauma. It's going to be a different kind of PTSD. We just don't understand, nobody understands that loss. And, again, Pack 22 is just so, again, they've all already been touched by it in some way, to where they will go, hell and high earth to stop somebody to be there for somebody that needs us. And not only that, the animals make pretty cool support animals in the process, and people like Dave Childress, he was the Wedgewood Award winner. He would show up for anybody in a heartbeat, and even as close to PTSD and suicide as he is and as he's been, he's still not immune to continued loss, and that's why this is so important. And by that I mean he literally last month lost a cousin. Also, I think he was also military. Don't quote me on that, but PTSD, suicide, and so even while in the program and, everything else, myself, I lost another really close friend even after I started Mattersville. Figured he knew he could talk to me, he could come to me, everything else. And it wasn't a military PTSD suicide, but definitely, it was suicide. And, so we, again, we're all reached more than we think, and we're not immune to more loss. So it's important that we start coming together, that we keep having these conversations, that we talk about Paul and Randy and Aaron and, everybody else that we know, that, and telling, and showing people that pain transfers on, and that, that they're not, because a lot of times, again, when it comes to suicide, people are literally think that they're doing the rest of the world a favor. They've gotten in their heads that much that they think everybody else is better off. They're not. They're not better off. They're so much worse off without you. I'm no better off without Randy Hansen here. Mm-hmm. I would love to have told a story. I would love to be fighting the fight for, telling his story of survival. But we can't, obviously we can't turn back the clock. We can move forward for the ones that are still here. Now that we know what we know now, what do we do to come together and put an end to this? And starting with the 22 veteran suicides a day only makes sense because it's so prominent in our military. Whether, you're just against suicide in general or PTSD, the 22 a day, suicides in the military community. We've got to start, addressing the suicide, epidemic. And again, no better place to start than our heroes. And if we do that, we'll know what to do for the rest of the general population. We'll be better at it. We'll be having the conversations, and it won't be stigma. There won't be so much stigma around it, because we'll have seen success. And this program is showing success. I mean, we're pulling people out. We're giving them coping skills. And even when even the ones that don't make it all the way, even the ones that leave, they leave with coping skills that they didn't have before. They leave with a little more knowledge than they had before, more trade skills, more ability to take care of themselves, more ideas about sustainability, to where, it's like no matter what our efforts are are bearing fruit in their lives. So, short term, long term, or we hope for the long term, fully sustainable ongoing lives, tiny home living for anybody that wants to live that outdoor, tiny home lifestyle. But again, we've got to teach it, and we got to live it, and and that's why we'll go out there and do the work. Trash is only a problem until you move it. Get rid of it.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Give us some updates of like what everything's going on, with current things going on with Matters. There's always stuff going on, right? There's always stuff going on. So give us like an update on locations. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening or viewing this don't know now about like where you guys have expanded off to as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it happens so fast, and then also those locations aren't open for business yet. We're actually in this coming Wednesday, we have our USDA pre-license, all the stuff before the inspection, stuff that we've been waiting on to start exhibiting at Kansas and Florida. Florida was a mess last year. It was actually the day after my wedding. I got married on December 28th, 2021. December 29th, I was on my way to Florida because a whole bunch of puppies were about to be wolf dog puppies, about to be born in the wild. Storms, the hurricane or a storm was I forget, what it was, tropical storm, whatever. So we're like, okay, well, let's go get that mother. She's on the loose, by the way, so she's not just in some cage or anything. So we're like, all right, well, I'll come down. It was this big thing. Supposedly she was a rescue, and she just lost control of the situation. She was a breeder, and she had totally lost control of the situation because she couldn't keep any of the wolf dogs in cages, so they were all over her property. What I thought was 11 ended up being like 40, 50. And so we went back, the whole team, like I was just like, everybody. And then what happens? Like, it catches on fire, not our property, but the whole surrounding area. So there's this big fire emergency of like, if the wind shifts, all those puppies are screwed. So we sent the whole team, we called in some extra help, and we built another rescue about 20 minutes from there in 3 weeks. An entire wolf and wolf dog rescue, full-size yard, all kinds of everything. We recently went back and put in the Florida Wildlife Center's required double fencing, perimeter fencing. So we, after we did the whole rescue, we built another perimeter around the rescue, so it's super secure.
Talk about how tall they are, because like they're not like a normal dog kennel, right? They're like
8 to 10 foot, 8 to 10 foot fences. You usually want to do stuff like lean-ins and like keep those raptors in the cage,
Yeah.
And it's actually not people think it's because it's like a safety thing. It's really, they're just the worst escape artists. I mean, wolf dogs, they can get out of anything. I mean, and
the best.
Yeah, they'll climb 12, Lady, our smallest one, climbs 12-foot fences, and she'll just hop right, like climb the corner and hop right over. So we had to eliminate chain link. We won't even use it anymore on new stuff. It's crazy. Again, 8 to 10 foot fences, sally ports, so that you go through one gate and can't, again, we do all the preventative measures to keep them inside, but we do walk them and we socialize them. We take them into town. We take them to the People's Tiny House Festival. That's like our favorite event every year for obvious reasons, because we get to set up our own yard and our own little.
It's like a complex, really.
It's a little compound and a festival, yeah. And you guys literally gave us the ability to set that up. Was such a cool idea, because now that we're getting ready to start our coffee and some of these other things, again, we're gonna have there's gonna be more diversity. Not only that, sustainability. We're breeding chickens and starting a whole egg production because of the egg shortage. We're going to be looking for veterans, and literally, if they're able to keep chickens in on their properties or houses, and you're actually able to do that in more residences than you think. House with a yard, you can put a chicken coop legally, but we want to start providing chickens to where, because it's said that if 1 in 5 families hold 3 chickens, for egg production, that takes that it would totally eliminate the egg industry. totally and fully. So we're like, okay, well, let's start giving everybody chickens. It costs us almost nothing to, to reproduce our chickens. So we just started doing it. We've got about the first 30 will be done in about like 10 days, and start giving to people, do some more production, some more, and again, trying to end this food crisis for others, or the ag crisis at least, or at least make a dent, again, in the veteran community. So, but again, it's just, we've got so much, when you talk about so much going on, we would have to sit here all day and name it all, but the most important is the upcoming coffee line. We've been pushing this for 3 years. We've been talking to our manufacturing partner, and he got us the best coffee. Hundreds of coffees. And we landed on the best. It's all organic, even the organic hemp CBD that we infuse into it to it's what we call the wellness side of it. But we kind of have a joke. We call it our self-care coffee around the property already, because it's really hard not to be in a pretty decent mood after, because we actually put double the CBD in our CBD coffee as any of our competitors. So when somebody gets a pound of coffee from us, it'll have 1,000 milligrams of CBD in it, which is just unheard of. It's another one of those industries where I'm like, wow, it's just because of what it is that it's pricey. When you go looking to buy, as the person that's looking for the wholesale now, and that was looking for the best coffee and the best hemp CBD, it doesn't add up why a lot of these companies charge so much. And even as a nonprofit, I was like, man, we kind of marked our prices up. And then I looked, and we're still well under all these competitors. And the proceeds go to help our veterans. They go to help our staff. It goes to help our operations. It goes to rescues. It goes to all these different things. And I'm like, and after the intended programs, there's still a little room for us to have like partnerships and discounts and stuff like that. We want to be able to send out coffee to the veteran communities and have it available for them for wellness if we're if we're able. But it's really cool. We're super excited because we got the first 3 coffees done: our French roast, Colombian, and Jamaican Blue Mountain, which is heavy premium, like delicious coffee. That's actually what I'm drinking right over here.
Oh,
but
nice.
Jamaican Blue Mountain, I like it.
It's and the craziest thing about this coffee, and I was never in the coffee world. I know what tastes good and what doesn't, but the Jamaican Blue Mountain, the entire world supply, 98% of it got bought by Asia this year. And we have no idea why. It was like Japan did it a couple years ago, and then this year I think it was China. And why they're so gaga about the Jamaican Blue Mountain, I don't know. But it is, And then once I tried the best, because of course the most expensive stuff was all that was left, and we're like, well, it was my favorite coffee out of all the ones I tried, of course. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, we'll pay it. So we do have there's a little bit more of a premium on the pricing for the Jamaican Blue Mountain, but I just it literally has been changing my day. It's especially if you're one of those people that likes the coffee with mixers, like lattes or do stuff like that. It's
Is
such
it
a
out right now?
Huh?
Is it out right now?
It's out tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
You guys are my announcement.
Okay.
I was like, I can't do it anywhere. This is a business, right? Because believe it or not, we're a nonprofit, right? So everybody just assumes this is a whole tax-free venture, right? Like it's got to be, right? Because 501c3. Believe it or not, there's taxes involved in this. We are going to pay taxes on our coffee line because we're manufacturing, we're having it produced, and we're selling it. So it falls under what's called an unrelated business income category. So we will be paying taxes on this. It is a business. But
if the profits go to
the nonprofit,
isn't that part of the business though?
So right. So then there would so we have to track all that to show the exemptions, right? And that's only if it gets used then towards operations of the nonprofit arm, not reinvesting it back into the business, because reinvesting it back into the coffee side of the business would then be, and that's a business expense, so it's a deductible, but it's not exempt, right? Deductions and exemptions, or, again, you fall into those different categories. But again, so it was all stuff that we had to learn. This is what was these crazy setbacks that you run into. We have phenomenal attorneys. Everybody thinks when I mention our attorneys that, next comes a threat, because that's how people throw their attorneys around. Your attorneys should be protecting you like ours do. Our attorneys protected us from falling into that nonprofit trap of thinking that we would be exempt in this business venture, right? Which could ruin our nonprofit if we went into it, sold a bunch of coffee, and didn't pay taxes that were due, or didn't file the taxes properly, even, right? It's the facts that we still dove into this was, again, I was a little nervous about that, but our accountant and treasurer, Jenny, she was just like, okay, well then I'll just put in all the money at first. She was just like this when she tried the coffee. She was just like, okay, you know what? You don't want to risk the nonprofit. And since I'm doing the books anyways, she was like, I'll make sure that all this is separate. So we created this whole other arm. And what was really cool was then all the team members then stepped up, because even from the veterans to everybody else, they're like, the more of this coffee we sell, the quicker I am to my house. Does a percentage of what I sell go towards my house? Absolutely. So, Dave, Jen, Laura, all the veteran participants, they get to go and sell the coffee, and a very large percentage of the proceeds go towards their house, their individual house. And when it's done, if their coffee can go towards their day-to-day expenses, their weekly expenses, so they can keep helping with the nonprofit work. It's essentially going to provide them with their means of life, like a job, except what they're doing is just being good in the world, helping others. That's their job, helping animals. It's really cool. I can't believe what we've structured here sometimes, because it was tough to put. It was tough to show everybody the vision. It was tough to, for everybody to see all these long-term goals and how then they're going to fit together.
People are like, Drew's selling coffee now?
Right. Wait, I thought they did wolves. I thought mental health. I actually had a friend, Araceli's, out of Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I just remember this 5-6 years ago. I was posting something about getting my mental health first aid certificate, and but I was talking about starting a veteran community and off-grid living, and that I did solar, and that I did this. And so she's just like, what did you get that certificate for? I thought you did, And so, she literally posted that on my thing, because I was just excited. I got, my upgraded certificate. And I just sort of, I didn't really respond. I just kept posting everything that I'm doing in my life. And eventually it kind of clicked for her. And I ended up getting a letter from her talking about, she's, proud of watching what we're doing. She's always commenting on, because now it finally connected, and there's still more pieces too. For sure. But I think now the long-term vision is more that Marcus saw it from the beginning. I mean, you were one of the people that we got to have coping skills. We got to have things for them to do. We've got to keep them building. Let's make them build their own houses if we have to, or the next person's house. But whatever we do, we got to keep them busy. And again, when you take the animals, when you take the, coffee sales, when you take the building, all of our day-to-day stuff is occupying. It's occupying our mind, it's occupying our thoughts, and then it starts to push, because we're thinking about the good we can do in those situations. And so it's pushing out all that bad, all that, regret, all that, for me, regret for not having done more for Randy when he was here, not knowing what I know now, and again, that really eats eats you from the inside out, as you go through life. It's one of those toxic, things. I mean, again, I was thrilled to have, had even as I was creating it, even as we were starting to build, I was still going through depression. I told Marcus about that very early on. He told me the same thing, and his was more recent. Paul Wedgewood was lost more recently than Randy Hansen. Paul was lost in 2016. And so, and I just remember Marcus's resilience, being able to talk about it. I was like, man, because I still tear up when I talk about it now. I just remember Marcus was telling me he was tearing up some, but I was like, man, he's way more resilient at this point already being that vocal about it and already like looking for ways that he can help, because, you know, for me, I internalized it, and Marcus is more like, you know, his heart on his sleeve kind of guy. You know, I let it eat at me for a while, because I actually kind of, I don't know, felt like I was needed to punish myself a little bit for not being a better friend. This is, again, all stupid stuff that I was telling myself to blame myself. But you know, again, I remember your resilience at the Tiny House Festival. You told me it seemed like easy. I know it wasn't, but it seemed like it was easy. And I was just like, man, I need to be able to get up and talk about this better. Like, I remember, you know, I was kind of talking to you about it. I was like, I need to be more my heart on my sleeve as well, because if people don't know that they are able to take action, they're not going to sometimes. And you didn't wait around for permission. You sought out people looking for ways to help. I wrote a program because I didn't find a way for that I thought would have helped Randy Hansen. And everybody that's listening to either this podcast or that's, you know, just runs into us in the day-to-day, they need to know that they can get involved. Andrew, you know, with your, you know, bringing us on and getting us out here and being able to, you know, tell the world what we do, you know, bringing us on the first time. I mean, we had a big pop, you know, like of people finally kind of understanding more of what we're doing, because, again, it's so diverse that people just think we just kind of jump into everything, and it's really not it at all. We have a very, very, you know, specific set of things that we focus on at any given time, but we want to make everybody fully sustainable, you know, as best as we can, whether, you know, again, mental health, financial, nutritional, you know, all of it. We got to hit it all. Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever mentioned this, but it's kind of interesting. I don't even know if you know this, Andrew. Like, do you know who we gave the first award to? Did we ever tell you who we gave the first award to?
I think so, actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
It was pretty cool because it was in 2019, and we only knew each other a couple months when we did it, and we just decided, like, if we're going to give the Paul Wedgewood Award, we're not going to tell the person who we're going to give it to. We never tell the person before they get the award, but we give it to Paul's mom, and she was so jazzed to, like, see who the person was going to be, and then it ended up being her. So that was another tearjerker. Like, they're always kind of tearjerkers.
She's one of the ones, man. I mean, again, you talk about just it's the same thing. You know, she lost her son, Paul.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, and obviously, I mean, you know, her kids are her world. You know, she turned her mess into a message. She went out there and again, she gets involved not only with us and making quilts for the veterans, but she's very involved with his old unit, Paul's old unit, Dark Horse, you know, and you know, she's one of the doers, you know, and you know, whatever it takes. Again, she's one of the people that I know would show up if, you know, somebody was to call and say, hey, this person's in a bad way, they're a veteran, or, you know, probably anybody. I don't even think they would have to be a veteran for Helen either. Like, she's got that heart, you know, and you know, again, that's those are the kind of people that definitely are continuing to change the way people see mental health, because, you know, Paul, I don't even know. I didn't know him, but I know he wasn't crazy. I know that he was hurting, you know, from everything everybody said. He was one of the greatest, you know, people. But, you know, clearly he was hurting if he you know, let himself go like that. So, you know, Helen sees that in people, you know, I think we all do. I think that's why we do what we do, is we can see, you know, all that good in the people and all the potential, so much potential, and that we don't want to see that go to waste, or people beat themselves up in that way, you know. It's torture. People will torture themselves.
No, totally. And one of the coolest things, and it was just like a short stint of time, but like, so, and I don't know if you know this because you never went to the property, but Paul's dog Gus was actually at the property for an extended period of time, and that was kind of cool because I remember going up there one time, and he was there. He was so happy, roaming free.
He showed up with a bunch of Green Bay gear, though. Like, I keep talking to Helen about that, but Gus was a great service animal. I mean, he the veterans, when they first came in, you know, all the first veterans that lived there. Yep. And he was PTSD tagged service dog, so he did finish his training. It was I believe he finished after Paul's loss. Is that correct? I believe
so. Yeah.
I think that's the timeline, and I think went to you know, Paul's mom and dad, and Gus is just such a sweet dog. You know, they. But yeah, he came and stayed with us for almost a year, and, you know, just really kind of helped integrate the first veterans, and then, you know, all the wolf dogs started coming in and everything else, and Gus was just kind of the house man. He was it's funny because Gus likes coffee, but he mostly likes it on your shirt.
Oh.
I think it was part of his PTSD training, to do alerts when somebody's daydreaming. So if you're sitting around the kitchen table in the morning, sipping your coffee and everything, he'll come give you a nudge, like right as you're about to take a sip, and so it's all over you.
Yeah,
that was my favorite thing about Gus. He never did it to me. Like I liked watching him do it to other people, though. It was kind of funny, rite of passage, if you will. But but sweet dog. I mean, just was there for everybody. Like, I mean, and we still talk about Gus obviously all the time because when we go up to the Sky Pen and talk about Paul, the Sky Pen at Mattersville in Colorado is dedicated to Paul Wedgewood. So I know you know that, but this is for everybody else. So, but it's the opportunity to work with animals. I mean, again, whether it's a wolf dog or whether it's a German Shepherd or a Chihuahua, I mean, a lot of people draw good positive energy from these animals, these empathetic animals, and again, it's reciprocal. I mean, the animals draw energy from that as well, especially the wolf dogs. That's why we call it pack healing. It's that process of going through it together. The veterans are healing, the animals are healing, the land's healing. When you take 285,000 pounds of trash off of it.
Yeah. It's a good good branding, I think. But it's also good for the veterans and good for the dogs too. But I think that like the way you branded that is great. This is a business podcast, so we talk about branding as well too. So
yeah. Well, it is. I mean, it's again, it's so convoluted, right? When you've got Pack 20, so we've got Pack 22, we've got Mattersville as the organization. So again, it's super confusing. So I knew that going into. I had people tell me right off the bat, they're like, you can't name your program this and your team this and your organization this. It's like, I just did.
You can do what you want.
but look at it working. Heroes and Hybrids is the program. Pack 22 is the team, and Mattersville is the location. I don't see why it's that hard. And each, and some people represent different facets of this overall, but it's all one family. We're all one pack. But it's but again, the Heroes and Hybrids is like when we'll be doing the tours, and because you're going to get tours from veterans and the animals. And Pack 22, again, it's the boots on the ground, and these are the dedicated team members. We call them when something goes wrong. And Mattersville is where we live. It's the org, it's the home, it's the heart. So,
talk about Mattersville. What does that mean? Because there is a symbolic meaning behind the name Mattersville too.
So Randy Hansen, he was a big punk rock fan. NoFX actually has a song called Mattersville. But some of the first lines were so appropriate that Matt Stokes, one of our other best friends back in Jack's Beach, he was the original co-founder, one of the original co-founders with me. But when he was like, here, listen to this NoFX song, and this is what we're gonna have to call this organization, because again, it was just a dream at one point, right? It was still just a veteran community memorial thing that we were going to do at one point. And but he was just like, this is what we got to do. We got to do a place, and he's just like, listen to the song. So there's a place some of us choose to live, gated community, cops can't come in, a place for punks over the hill. We'll spend our golden years in Mattersville. And
nice.
It was so we were and the whole song just kind of goes on. We could do whatever we want, whatever we please. There's always a keg of beer and a block of cheese, all this stuff. So it's I was just like, we're gonna make Mattersville. So we're gonna make
that on any TikToks?
I don't use it. So NoFX doesn't actually have that song available on TikTok. So I've been dying for it. I would literally use it nonstop. And I love NoFX too, for the record. So if Fat Mike's listening, hey. It was the perfect name. Talk about branding, and anybody that's ever heard NoFX, probably has that a few of those lines memorized and can immediately kind of relate to the vibe we were going for, but we're all accepting. I mean, and any veteran, even civilians that need to come into the program and want to come in to help and to help veterans and everything else, there's a path for them as well. It's not the same. It's not the same path, but we, but we don't exclude anybody from being able to get involved or become a resident to, as long as they're putting in, the requirements and stuff like that. And of course, the veteran mental health side is our focus. So as long as they're focused on that goal and that mission to come on board, we take them as well. Because a lot of people do ask us, do you take civilians? And it's like, well, I'm a civilian.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even, again, a lot of people forget that because I want to help veterans.
For sure.
So they assume that I am one, and I'm definitely not, would never claim that honor. It's first off illegal to claim that honor when you're not, but also inappropriate, stolen valor happens to these guys all too often. And we've had some people try and come into our programs even, under false pretenses, that saying they served and then being, that they might have signed up, but didn't get in or didn't get through, and other stuff. So, again, they didn't serve. Again, the thought was there, sure, but again, we can't provide the veteran type of resources for for them. We have other programs for other things, and there's other ways in the door for other types of people that want to get involved. So it's stolen valor is not necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
It's,
I'm glad to hear that, actually, because I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of building cabins in the woods, and I've been thinking about it. So
let's get it done, dude. All right.
I want to build my own little cabin in the woods.
We need to have our own communal podcast. So, we'll have to get you set up in
this
a
is your
tiny
guy right here. He knows how to produce them.
Can I build a treehouse and do the podcast in the treehouse?
So here's the thing. Our Kansas property on the Kansas River. We are on the Kansas River, 150-foot cottonwood trees.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes. And absolutely you can. And not only that, we want to do that. This could be a People's Tiny House Festival and Mattersville collaboration. Did Marcus tell you what I offered him to do? We could do in our Kansas property yet?
No.
It's an offer. I'll let you guys take. But we have 18 beautiful open acres of farmland right on the Kansas River in Topeka, where we're building our new community. We got 2 new houses going in May. But I told him it would be a perfect location to get a permit for us to go ahead and just do another festival there in Kansas. Yeah. It doesn't have to be as big as the one here. I mean, it's kind of hard to, because the one here is huge. But
for sure, and people love coming to the mountains.
Right. Well, of course, yeah.
Especially van lifers and stuff.
I think we can get enough people lined up along the river to where it would be quite a beautiful festival. It'd probably be the nicest tiny house festival in the country for sure. Be able to do some fishing right out of our tiny homes while people are walking through the houses and stuff. That'd be cool.
Van Down by the River Festival. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. We got it. So there's literally a spot to drive right up the levee to do that. Right. I mean, and it's our levee. The levee's
nice.
Our property. Yeah.
I'm from Kansas City, and the Missouri River runs across the Kansas City.
Yep.
And so I'm familiar with that. There's this huge global festival that happens right off of the Missouri River. It's called Dance Vestopia.
Okay.
Big, they get the biggest names, they're awesome. The biggest DJs, and it's right off the river, and it's like I'm just imagining people doing LSD and jumping into the river and dying.
So probably gonna not do that kind of festival.
Yeah, well, it's Dance Vestopia. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's completely different.
No, I mean, and that actually, that sounds like a good time that I probably would have had back in my days, but. That's but yeah, more on the tiny home front again. This could be it actually could be really cool, and it could be different. It doesn't even have to be that same footprint, because again, this is where business ideas come from. Is how do we step out of the mold that everybody else is doing, and I think you guys were right in following the van life movement as opposed to just the tiny home movement. You know what I mean? Because a lot more people are looking for that mobility, the engine behind their home as well as the home, right? Because anybody that's bought a tiny home then knows that the $70,000 truck follows it.
Right.
It's how much does it actually save you in the end there for that mobility. But if you're converting a bus or converting a van, again, pull it up to the riverfront. We want to do something like that. We're hoping for the North Carolina property, since we actually have an option to buy this time, of what we were looking for. Nice. We're hoping to find something that's already zoned like a campground, so that we just don't have to do anything. We come in and it's just nice. Boom. It's here's a lot. Septic's all hooked up. That would be rad.
So you guys are expanding, and you guys are growing as an organization, as a company. When you first started, did you imagine you were going to grow this? Was this always the plan?
Yeah. It's 50 states in 20 years is the goal. Yeah.
Nice.
Or as long as, PTSD suicide is an epidemic, and I don't see any magic pills popping out anytime soon. So, the reality is that it's going to get worse before it gets better.
For sure.
And, in the current economic state and the current political climate,
it's getting worse.
It's getting much, much worse. I mean,
it feels like it. At least.
A lot of circles will tell you that we're on the verge of World War III.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do people want to talk about it? No, but I mean, I think that's the reality that we're facing. I mean, this is why we're getting all our sustainability stuff ready, the chickens and the eggs, for everything. I mean, we're not oblivious. I mean, and if it does happen, then we're going to have more troops going overseas, and we're going to have more trauma, and we're going to have more stuff. The scary thing is that this will be a war that we're watching on Facebook and TikTok. So nobody's going to be immune to it this time.
And trauma can seep through videos.
Oh, trauma does seep through videos.
Yeah. I've watched the videos that I've been traumatized by.
Well, a very, very, very great guy that I met through our work, Joey McNutt, his brother, Ronnie McNutt. He's the one that had the most viral video 3 years ago of dying by suicide live streaming. They took, a bunch of disgusting people took his videos and made it into like a GIF, GAF, whatever they're called. Of the moment of the incident, and it's just disgusting. And Joey started an organization called, his brother, who's also a veteran, started an organization called Childress 22, which again, I consider them allies. They're, he goes, because Facebook didn't take it down, TikTok didn't take it down. None of these places were taking it down because they embedded it behind cartoons. So it was like this, stitch of like this cartoon at first, and then it leads to the suicide. And, it's...
That's fucked up.
It showed the world, it showed how disgusting the world can be, in those forms. And Joey and his mom, Elaine McNutt, their resilience is impeccable, incredible. Like, I mean, to be able to have to, go and fight these social media companies and to take them on and to say, this is really ridiculous, it's inappropriate. And Joey, he puts his heart into this cause. He's been out to Mattersville in 2 locations to help build wolf dog enclosures. He sees the value in the animals and the veterans working with the animals and keeping their hands busy. But again, like, it does. Trauma will pass through social media, especially when you're watching and it's somebody that that's at war. I mean, because this is what happens in World War III. We're talking about future wars, people. We're talking about
it's happening in Ukraine right now.
Well, if it's your buddy holding the phone, and they're over there, at war. Because again, what if let's say China decides to come over here or anything like that? I mean, we're going to be fighting China here. You think they're waiting for us to come to them? We're not sending anything over to China. So if they're talking about they're gearing up for war, where do you think they're going? And we're their number one enemy, because it's an economic war. It's basically, presidential war is what it is. It's all these, swinging D-bags, that are just, are putting us in this political war. I mean, because it's all about economics. It's all about, food and famine and everything else, and oil and energy. And we're just getting sucked right into our politicians' war. And so, but, and the politicians aren't going to be the one that are fighting it. They'll act like they are, but they're the ones with the pen in their hand, not the sword, the Marines with the sword in their hand, So, but yeah, it's, so I'm worried, I'll say I'm worried about the future for our veterans. Will we make it to all 50 states in 50 years? I'm sad to say probably, because there's going to be a need for us to be in all 50 states within the next 10, 15 years. They're eventually going to be like, we need to go ahead and fund this because they're the only ones that are, or not the only ones, but, some of the only ones that are doing anything. We need to expand what's there because the VA spent $9 million last year in unspent program funds for PTSD programs. I think that was just the state of Colorado. Well, here we are. We're not funded. I could use $9 million. $9 million would I think I could take care of every veteran in the state if they need mental health support. I could probably also get several hundred homes for that price, and get them all off the street, and then they might not have mental health issues, if they're taken care of as they were supposed to. So it's all about again, there's you talked about the Ukraine money. I mean, my God, give me a fraction of it and I can end homelessness for our veteran community at the very least. Let me start there and prove a model. I mean, sure. Jesus Christ, you're giving all these people that want money, that want money, I don't get anything. I don't get anything about building any homes, neither do our volunteers. Give me a fraction of that budget. Elon Musk had said, because some guy said, if Elon Musk gave, $8 billion and blah, blah, blah. And so what did Elon Musk responded to him? If you can show me where the money goes and how it's allocated and blah, 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 and track it and prove that to be true, then I'll do it right now. I'll sell Tesla stocks and I'll end homelessness, For sure. And the guy never came back with anything. I would love to give Elon Musk a proposal. I would love to give them a proposal. I'll write it up. It wouldn't even take that long. I mean, it's just numbers. It's literally just numbers, and I can put the numbers that it takes for us to do things and how cheap that is, multiply it by X amount of homeless, and I can knock it out of the park for him. I will give him the numbers. I'll track it. He can hold the bank account. Just give me a card, so that I can go get the materials needed. It can be all in materials. All I need is some funding and some financing to blow this out of the water. We could start doing it right now. $5,000 builds a walled-in cabin with a bedroom for a veteran. $5,000.
Really?
$5,000. Super cheap.
If you
and
know
this
how
is
to do it,
one bedroom with a loft. Yeah, we'll build it in 2 days. Build one in 2 days, group of 3 people.
Really, like that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that easy.
I got 5,000 right now. No, just kidding.
I'll build you. So we got to put it in a tree though.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cottonwood, right?
There's probably going to be some more braces and stuff for your tree house. But a walled-in cabin would fit in a tree. We've already done the math on that too.
Nice.
No, we thought about calling those treehouse people to the Kansas property. Dude, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, there are acorns falling off the tree that you can fit in both palms.
Like softball sized
It's
acorns.
insane.
Are you sure they're not walnuts?
So there's walnuts too.
Okay, gotcha.
We have both. No, it's crazy. No, they're acorns.
Gotcha.
What is it? The Rescue Rangers. It's
We used to
definitely
have
like
walnut
the
wars
cartoon
when I was
stuff.
a kid, and we would throw walnuts at each other. We'd have fun. We'd stack them up, and it was like
Sounds like a painful game. Yeah.
I swear the squirrels do that in Kansas too. They're all running around the trees, and I'm pretty sure they do chuck them at people because they come too close way too often.
Oh yeah.
But this is our first year where we had a fall where they were all coming out of the trees, and we had to move our cars. We were getting them dented.
Yeah, it'll mess your crap up.
But yeah, you got to come see the property eventually. I think you'd really like it as well, especially because you talk about that rope swing into the river. So it's about a 30 foot from the top of the bank, down into the water. It'd totally be doable. We've been thinking about that too. That or a zip line.
Jumping.
Yeah, a zip line would be cooler. That way we're more out in the middle of the river.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
There's nothing but a train track on the other side. It's possible.
I like it.
Yeah.
So. It's so cool. Well, maybe after the festival, we'll go over there. We'll make some time to go over there. Maybe go to his old stomping grounds. And is it en route to Kansas City or?
Yeah, so Kansas City is
it's like
in
an hour.
Missouri. 30 minutes
like
to an hour. Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
Right when he said, "Oh, Olathe," yeah, I know where that is. I was like, "Okay, he's from Kansas," because nobody knows where Olathe North is.
Well, I'm from Missouri.
Right. Yeah. He's on the other side of the river.
Actually, I was born in Kansas, so that it's I don't know. I'm mostly from Missouri.
Everybody thinks the same thing when you hear Kansas. Corn.
I know,
first thing that pops in your head is corn, right? Same thing as Nebraska. You're corn. But being on the river, it's nothing. It's a whole nother world because we have all the trees. We have, it's we have a field too, and you can look and you can get the whole Kansas experience on one side of our property, and then you got this whole water world experience, right on the riverfront on the other.
There's no mountains, but there are hills.
Yeah, there's some rolling hills. Not near us.
Yeah.
Not as far as we can see. But we heard that they're there. Legend says if you go to the east.
Yeah, well, Kansas City, it's pretty beautiful. It's got. You can do cliff jumping, at certain places.
Yeah, low quarries. There's some rock quarries and stuff too. I heard. Yeah, I can't wait to check more of it out. We're just always building when we're there. Started with a 3-bedroom house that was redone. There's 4 houses that we have to tear down to be able to build 4 new houses. Or it's 3 or 4. But God, such a beautiful property, man. You would really enjoy that one. Florida is also just about to finish up. Where as soon as the license is done, we can start tours. Like that whole mess down there. I mean, rescuing all those 50 dogs, and we got so many of them adopted, and got all of them spayed and neutered, which was like this whole endeavor. But yeah, like eventually you'll just be able to you guys will be able to take a trip, and you're like, where's the Mattersville in this state? Are we close? Let's not get a hotel. Let's just crash in one of the tiny homes.
That'd be awesome.
So, yeah, but,
I like that idea.
Well, it's it's part of the concept. If you look at veterans, right, they are nomadic. They're naturally nomadic. I mean, they were trained to be nomadic. So when they discharge, like the idea of staying in the same place all the time or the same property forever isn't always appealing. The roots aren't always ready to be placed, right? So so having nomadic roots is kind of comes natural. So if somebody graduates Mattersville and they have a tiny home on wheels, and that's their vision, is to be able to go from place to place, then they will be able to go to every single Mattersville. That is not just the idea or an idea now. It's part of the plan for them to be able, because they know the rules at one, they know the rules at all, or they know the participation requirements at one, they know it at all of them. It's just who they're checking in with as far as the property director goes, which is just going to, go ahead and park it over there. Here's your hookup. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think we're going to start wrapping up here soon because we don't want it to be too long. I've noticed if the episodes get over an hour, it takes me a lot longer to edit them.
No worries. No worries. And I could talk for hours. So, I think you learned that the first time too. So. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Except I think the first time you had Randog with you, though.
I know. It was more about, I mean, like I called him. I was like, "You guys want me to cancel? Do you want to cancel?" I was like 5 minutes from here. I'm like, "Do you guys want to cancel because I didn't bring the dog or the coffee?" I'm
you're good,
the worst today because I wanted you to. But I really do. I want you guys to try it, and I hope that you'll have your guests try it too. It's just a courtesy from us because if anybody's nervous about an interview or something, give them some of that CBD coffee.
We'll be ready to go.
All right. Yeah. Be right as rain. Yeah.
We're gonna thank you. But there's a coffee machine down the hall. Coffee machine.
Yeah. Oh, we got to get you a Keurig? Is that what I hear?
Get a Keurig.
Yeah, in here for sure. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so now I'm going to have to get in cost savings because this is a business podcast. But let me compare it to those $3 cups of coffee that you guys have right there. Or were those $5?
There you go. Yeah.
Those City Coffee? Did you buy this in town?
They have a pretty cheap place downstairs or across the street. It's like $4, but that's pretty good for down here.
With podcast money.
Yeah.
Yep. So our cost breakdown for our CBD coffee comes out to 62 cents a cup, with about 5.5 to 10 milligrams of CBD in each cup.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. Because again, when it comes out to that price, I mean, you're paying less than you would for a cup of gas station swill. And again, it's all premium organic. I do just got to say that because we're on here. It's premium organic coffee, and it's premium organic hemp. Like we didn't skip on the organic across the board. Yeah, it was a little bit extra for that, but we want to know what's in it.
You got to focus on the health. I mean, you can't skip out on one thing if you're focusing on health.
Yep. If we're talking wellness, we got to do everything right. So
people can. By the time this is released, it'll be available. So is there a website?
There is MattersvilleVets.org. Go to our main website, and there'll be some promo stuff. I don't even know what the link is yet. KT is working on it now, but as soon as that link
probably be on the homepage of it.
I'm sure it will be.
At least for a bit.
Yep, and probably until this podcast comes out, and then I think we'll just make this front and center because again, you always do good work here. I've been watching a lot of your. I was telling Marcus I've been watching a lot of your interviews and stuff. The guy that you interviewed recently with the recurring monthly costs and talking about keeping costs low for starting new businesses.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude, if I just wanted to scream through the computer because I'm like, that guy knows what he's talking about. Really, he was just a great guest.
Was that Robert Patton?
Yeah.
He's a veteran and he lives in Woodland Park, actually.
That's what I was telling Drew, yeah.
Cutting out recurring monthly costs. And I just want to say this because now I'm on the same show. Like, yay. Yeah. Cutting out recurring monthly costs was the only way we made it.
Okay.
As an organization, cutting out all of it, cutting out food costs, growing your own food, cutting, again, the chicken and the egg. We have our own water source on our properties, so we're pulling it from wells and we do storage and this, that, and the other. We eliminate every bill we can. From heat, wood burning stove, every bill we can, because when it comes down to it, we have the property and everything else. So if we don't have to pay bills, we literally are living for free. We're living the American dream. And that dude fought for the American dream. So I love the fact that he's also selling the American dream in a way that everybody should know that it's free.
And he's good at doing online sales. He has a very successful company, Sheath.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be a good connection for you to talk to him about that.
I would just love for you to, next time you talk to him, you guys, and you bring him with you up to the property.
I think we do that. We pick him up on the way to Sedalia property, and we'll just do that.
Yeah, we'll videotape some of it. You could use it for the next time he comes on, because I see that guy doing big things. I really do, because
he already is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not bigger. Like I'm talking bigger,
yeah.
because he's got the right mindset, and he's humble with it all. Veterans like him are the creme de la creme, man. They're good people doing good things, and I love seeing your guests on. Again, like him, there's such good interviews, good show, and again, I appreciate you having me on as well, because when I see people like that doing good work, it's gives me hope.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate
this
that.
Has been such an awesome podcast. This has been great, man, and it's been awesome seeing your journey, especially all the way through from where we were 4 years ago. You got married on the way. It's just it's insane, because I was there when you met her.
We're about to get married now too.
Oh my gosh, we're not turning the table right now.
You're gonna go to Italy, get wedding fever.
Just remind him that I'm an ordained minister in Mattersville.
Oh my
Mattersville. We'll do the services free. She's very sweet. Same name too. We got the
Danielles.
You have a Danielle. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We got to stop having so much in common. Unless it's the good stuff. Good stuff we'll keep in common.
Most definitely.
Yeah, you got two business partners named Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's actually, you guys work with Nationwide. You work at Nationwide with Nationwide Expos. I used to work. I was their sponsor coordinator. I used to help, with the sales teams and stuff like that for all their stuff. I mean, again, there's so much crossover, and it keeps happening. It's ridiculous, but it's again, it all leads to good things, and that's what I love about Marcus. And again, brought me here. I mean, he led me to you as well in your show, and again, it's all good stuff, man. Like I said, you get the word out, and it's hard to articulate things sometimes, and you're really good at setting people up for how to get that out there. You're getting good at it now too. I think it's rubbing off on you.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys having us on, because again, any chance we can to invite people and because that's ultimately what our goal is to keep inviting people to share that experience with us, to be able to come up and visit with the animals when they can, and volunteer if they want to, anything that they need to keep their eyes on self-care and self-love, and away from thoughts of suicide, because again, don't transfer that pain to somebody else. Let's get you, let's put an end to it. Or at least learn how to control it, and not let it control you. So
that's a good way to close it, man. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, this has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, thanks for watching the episode. We really appreciate it. And if they want to follow us for more episodes, where can they find us?
Well, we're on YouTube if you want to watch the video podcast, but if you're listening on audio, we're on every platform. Spotify, video on Spotify as well too, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. And if you would be so kind to leave a review if you're liking the show, that would help us out. It helps us put us on more pages on the audio platforms as well too, like on Apple Podcast or whatever. It gets us in the categories and helps us get to that number one spot in the business category is what we're aiming for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.